Hey everyone, my name is Elizabeth. Welcome back to my channel. I will be reviewing The Bachelor episode 4. But before we get into that, make sure you like this video, subscribe to my channel, and let me know what you think of the episode right below in the comments. Let's get into it. So we pick up right where we left off with the last episode, and Sarah has now left. She's gone. Finally, we get the scene. So right after we get the scene of Matt being all sad, all the girls are sitting back and they're all talking about Sarah leaving, and they're Victoria is being Victoria and she's going in on Sarah and basically being like, good riddance, I didn't like her anyway. And Katie decides to take it on herself and defend and stand up for Sarah and tries to get Victoria to just shut up, just like stop talking about her because she's not here anymore. Can we just move on and stop talking about her? And I like that Victoria just kind of shut her down, was like, no, Katie, I can do whatever the F I want. How about that? So I like that. Group date time. He finally gets to sit down with MJ and that's going okay, but really, I love the sit down with Chelsea, and I love this conversation she has with him about her hair and why it was so important, why she shaved off her hair in the first place, why it was so important. And I just love this conversation. I love the vulnerability and the honesty of it. And she's explaining to him, how she grew up with around a lot of white people and feeling a little bit of shame wrapped around her hair and having to make sure it looks a certain way. In a certain way, meaning a way that is easily digestible to white people, So she wore her hair straight, or she wore wigs, or but she always straightened her hair and make sure it was straight. And she didn't want to leave the house with her hair looking natural because that was somehow shameful. And I love the conversation because I can relate to that. I think a lot of Black women can relate to that. The things that we do to be seen, things that we do to belong, basically. I just relate to her because I know what that's like, being around or going to school or, being in community with a lot of white people and just having anxiety about being able to fully be yourself in whatever way that looks, whether it's wearing your hair the way it naturally looks, to the way you talk, to the music you listen to, or whatever it may be. I totally understand that experience. You just don't want to be judged and critiqued for who you are, but also the ability to just be comfortable, the ability to fully be yourself can be hard around certain people. It didn't look as if Matt was really paying attention to her. It looked like he was just so enamored with Chelsea and just like he was just drinking her in, everything she was saying. I don't even think he was listening. He was just like, he just wanted to kiss her. So they did. I also feel though that there are certain conversations I feel like Matt might be avoiding, or I don't know if it just looks like he's avoiding it, but there's another, I think it's this episode, there's another instance where someone's kind of talking about their experience being a person of color, and he's kind of like, ugh, cool, I can't even imagine what that's like.
Yeah, and if you want to express yourself with your dildo and think you're ready for an engagement, you can do that.
I love my vibrator, so I don't know what you're trying to do, like coming at me about like your vibrator. Like, I'm very confident in what I want to do with my life, and it's showing how insecure you are.
I'm not insecure nor attacking you.
So what are you trying to accomplish with this conversation? Like, what's the point? You're being a bitch. I'm gonna tell you you're being a bitch.
I'm not being a bitch.
Okay.
I think you are a bitch, and
I speak my mind. If you're gonna be rude.
So I love that. So next we get the scene between Katie and Victoria, and they're having a little sit down talk. And I love it. I love that Katie finally, I love that Katie is standing up to Victoria, unlike all of the other girls. But basically, Victoria has some issue with Katie about, Victoria has an issue with Katie because Katie is telling her to stop talking shit about Sarah. She's no longer here. You don't need to talk shit about her. Calm down. And Victoria doesn't like to be told what to do. So we get to the rose ceremony later on that night, or the next day after the group date has ended, and they're all kind of waiting their turn to kind of talk to Matt before he gives out the roses. this is my thing. He sits down with Kit, and I'm just like, I don't understand why Kit is on the show. She's 21. Kit is only 21 years old. I don't. She's ready to get married? Like, I know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Again, she's only 21. I don't get it. Then we get to sit down with Victoria. I don't know what the heck Victoria is wearing. And she starts to cry a little bit with Matt, saying that basically she still feels insecure. She doesn't know if Matt really likes her, if Matt really wants her here. And while they're talking, Chris comes in. Chris comes in and interrupts them and basically pulls Matt out to tell him that you're gonna meet more ladies, which I think is just unfair. I think at this point during a rose ceremony, to pull Matt aside and basically go, hey, we're gonna introduce like 5 more new girls to the group is unfair after they've already been there for like 3 weeks, or this is the 4th week. So this is the 4th week and he hasn't even sat down with some of the other girls yet to like even see if there's a connection there. So anyway, so Chris walks Matt outside. Matt is outside, and so the first limo pulls up and girls start coming out. So the first girl comes out really nervous, really awkward, but like she's supposed to be like the head bitch in charge kind of thing. And I can't remember her name at this right now, but she comes out and I don't know, it's awkward, nervous energy. And she is like, she kisses Matt and all of the other girls in the house, because they don't know what's going on yet until the first girl comes out. And so all the other girls are watching this, and she's like, Matt, let's make up for lost times. And she like goes in for this crazy kiss, and all the other girls are watching, and it's like it's craziness. I don't know if she really likes Matt. I feel like she's like another drama, like more drama for the show. This is the funny part. So once that girl kisses Matt, she walks into the room, right? But before as she's walking, one girl goes, ew, why is she walking like that? Which I think is just so bitchy. But anyway, so this girl walks into the room and she's not, the other girls are kind of paying her dust, and Victoria says what everybody I think is thinking. She's like, so you mean to tell me that you've been quarantining this whole time on set? You quarantined all this whole time just to kind of come in as like nothing? And yeah, I had that question too. So I'm thinking, geez Louise, she not only, a lot of those girls, all 5 girls that came into the house that night, new girls, they all quarantined for like 2 weeks on set before filming, and has stayed on set, not on set, but they stayed in some sort of hotel room on the ground somewhere for an additional 4 weeks just to be on the show. That's a long time. And so it makes me wonder, I wonder if it really was only 5 girls, or what, were there more girls waiting, like, and for what reason? I wonder what was the reason to have more girls come to the show. What was it about Sarah leaving that made them go, you know what, let's throw in a few more girls? I just think it's weird. Oh my goodness, Victoria. So the second new girl walks into the room. So Catalina is her name, and she's Miss former Puerto Rico, right? And she has the little sash, and she comes and she has the crown. And so she walks into the room and they put the camera right on Victoria, because she walked in with the crown and she was Queen Victoria and she did all that. So they put the camera right on her, and of course she's not smiling and she's really upset about it. So Catalina's in the room now. She's kind of like, hey ladies. And Victoria says, come here, come over here, let me talk to you. That's not going to be good. That's not going to be good. And Catalina actually walks over close to Victoria, and I'm like, oh my God, what's going to happen? And this moment, Victoria reaches up and takes the crown off of Catalina's head and puts it on hers. And it's like, I'm actually the queen. I'm really the queen, so you're not. I couldn't do it. 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 The other girls are cracking up. All right. The other girls are cracking up. But me, oh, if I were Catalina, I could not handle that. I could not handle that. If I were Catalina, as soon as I saw Victoria reaching for whatever for my head, I would have backed up. I would have backed all the way up. Or, who are you? Why are you? I would have done all of that because that's crazy. That is just insane. So after she like takes the crown, she puts it on her head and she's like talking shit. And then she's like, oh, I can't be the queen. And so she takes it off. She doesn't hand it back to Catalina. She takes it off and damn near I thought she was going to throw it on the ground. But she kind of like takes it off and kind of like tosses it on the table. And that looked like a real crown with like diamonds and stuff. I don't know how I couldn't handle that type of behavior from Victoria. She's losing it now. So apparently Anna knows Brittany from back in Chicago, because Brittany's from Chicago. That's the name of the new girl, Brittany, by the way. And I almost forgot that Anna was, that lived in Chicago, was from Chicago, until she said sketch. I know Brittany from the people I know in Chicago, and she's really sketchy. She's sketchy. That neighborhood is sketchy. That's like a go-to thing that like white people say here. Certain white folks say here in Chicago. It's something I can't stand. I hate it. Oh my God, the South Side is like sketchy. There are like areas of the South Side that are very sketchy, and like the North Side too. It's like very sketchy. Sketch, magotch. We get to the end of the rose ceremony. After all this is going on, the new girls finally arrive and we get to the rose ceremony. So he's going to immediately start handing out roses and figure out who he's going to choose. And he does. And Kayla doesn't get picked. She's one of the girls that doesn't get picked. And I thought they had something. I really thought that he and Kayla had a connection. So Kayla's gone out of the competition, and I believe one of the new girls that arrived that same day was also not picked. So yikes. It's the next day, and we're at Matt's little cabin, and Ben shows up. Ben is a former bachelor, and he comes to talk to Matt for a little bit and give him some like advice on how to handle the new girls. And he's also in charge of the group date. I don't know why, but he's in charge of the group date. I think Ben is like supposed to be replacing Chris, I think, as like the host and narrator of the show. He's got that same kind of roboticness as Chris, so I don't know, we'll see. So he's in charge of the date. So it's a group date, and the ladies have to do something really silly and roll around in leaves and dress up like a squirrel, and I don't know, it was all silly. Whoever wins gets a date with Matt, I think, or I'm not even sure what the purpose of that date was. It was kind of silly, but anyway, that's done. We get the second half of the group date, and so everyone gets their time with Matt. Anna finally gets a sit down with Matt and is talking to him, but doesn't get too much time with him because Brittany, one of the new girls, comes in and interrupts. And Anna doesn't like that. So she goes back into the room where the other girls are sitting and is basically like, yeah, Brittany just interrupted me on my date and I can't stand her. And also, I heard she's an escort. And the other girls are like, oh, really? She services men for money? Did you hear? 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 And they're all talking about it. And I'm like, okay, so what? She's a sugar baby. And whether or not she's an escort or a sugar baby or whatever, and what's the big deal? I don't get it. But anyway, that's the rumor they're spreading, right? And so once Brittany comes back from the date, she sits down and they're basically like, so are you an escort? Are you an escort? Because, and Anna says like, that's what I heard in Chicago. I heard that you were an escort. Do you sleep with men for money? And Brittany looks honestly taken aback by it, and it's like, what? Where did you hear that from? Like, I was a little surprised that her first response wasn't no. She just was like, what? Who did you hear that from? Which was kind of like, that was an interesting response. But she basically says, no, it's not true. And like, I don't know why you would say that about me. And then she does this thing that she continues to do for the rest of the episode and up into the next episode, where it looks like she's crying, but I don't see any tears. There's something about her reaction I don't believe, and I'm not really sure why. But whether or not she's an escort or a sugar baby or whatever the heck she was doing before she got on the show, who cares? Honestly, who cares? I don't know why that matters, but her reaction is a little strange to me. I don't know. That's the end of that night. The group date is done. The next day, and one of the new girls, Michelle, gets to go on her one-on-one date with Matt. And the girls are not feeling it because she just got here. Why is she going on a one-on-one date with Matt? They don't like it. But Michelle and Matt seem to have really great chemistry, like really good chemistry with each other. She kind of looks like Rosario Dawson to me. That's kind of a little bit. She also looked like she probably sucked her thumb a lot as a child. Just from the way her mouth is set up, it looks like she probably sucked her thumb a lot. But she's super cute, fun. I noticed that she kind of takes ownership of Matt a little bit. So they go on the date, and it's a lot of stuff up in the air. They go on a hot air balloon. They also do a zip line off of a tree. I think that's what it's called. Tree line, zip line, or zip line, tree line, whatever it's called. But they do that. Oh, they're on their second half of the one-on-one, and Michelle is talking about they're having dinner that they don't eat again. And Michelle is talking about what she does. She's a teacher, and she's talking about why it's so important to her and the changes that she wants to make in the world. And, you know, they have some things in common because he does some sort of teaching thing or he does some mentorship. So, you know, they're jazzing out about that. But I noticed she specifically mentions George Floyd and having to talk to her, the kids that she teaches, about racial injustice in the Black Lives Matter movement and how hard it is doing that virtually with the kids. And Matt says, "Oh, I can't even imagine how hard it is for the kids," or he says something like, "I can't imagine being in your student's place. I can't imagine what that's like to be in their place." And I'm confused by that statement. I don't understand it. And she's like talking about it, and he's kind of like talking around it. This is I'm not really sure if he's doing that intentionally, like he just doesn't want to talk about what has been happening the last year, 2 years, what has happened while they were shooting this season of The Bachelor. Like, it's like he doesn't want to talk about it. And I mean, on one point, I guess I can get that, but on the other point, like, you are on a television, you are the first Black Bachelor, okay, in this show's 25 seasons, okay? We just had all this crazy stuff happening, an amazing movement, the Black Lives Matter movement. And as a person of color, biracial, whatever you want to identify as, you can't identify with her students or what they must be feeling. You don't want to talk about it. Don't come on this show. If you don't want to talk about stuff like that, don't come on this show. There is a reason that they picked you. Okay? There's a reason why they picked you. And I feel like, just sort of similar to The Bachelorette last season with Tayshia, it's this kind of avoidance of like talking about like race as a person of color on a show that's watched by predominantly white people. It's just as like, you know, what are you doing? why are you talking around it? You're not, you know, I don't know. That's very frustrating to me because yeah, if personally, yeah, you might not want to talk about it, but you're on the show as the Black Bachelor. Like, and you don't want to talk about how all of the things that have happened in this country in the last year might be even affecting you. If we have to hear one more time about his dad leaving his mom and his mom is a single mom and his black dad leaving his white mom, like if we have to hear that one more time, but he doesn't want to talk about, I don't know, it's there's something off-putting about that. It's the next day and we get another group date with the other half of the ladies that didn't get to go on the first group date. And they're going to be boxing each other, which, you know, that's always awkward when they set it up like with these kind of games on The Bachelor or Bachelorette. It's just yikes. It's always cringy. Anyway, so the ladies have to actually box each other and it's uncomfortable to watch because they're really punching each other. Like they have the gloves on and they have the, you know, head shield on and they got the mouth shield and all that stuff, but like they're really punching each other and it's I mean, I know that they added extra, like the show added extra punching sounds. So it sounded worse than maybe it was, but it was kind of awkward and it's getting too much. And so Matt decides to stop the date because I think Lauren punches, and I can't remember what her name was, but there was a good punch in the mouth from Lauren to some other girl, and Matt goes, okay, let's stop it. Let's stop it. It's kind of embarrassing to get punched in your mouth like that on television, and Matt goes over to her and is like, are you okay? And she's like, she has an ice pack all over her mouth and her nose, and she's like, yeah, I'm okay, I'm okay. That was kind of embarrassing. Back at the house, Anna and Victoria are still talking trash about Brittany and about how she's a whore and a slut and all this other stuff, and they're kikiing with each other and they're having a good old time. This whole conversation of Brittany being an escort is big news to everybody in the house, and all the girls are talking about it at the house and even on the date. And so this second half of the group date, after the boxing match, the girls are talking as they're waiting their turn to kind of talk to Matt one-on-one, and they're still yapping about this stuff. And so at some point, Katie is so kind of irritated about them talking about Brittany like this that she takes it upon herself to go tell Matt. So she leaves the room and goes and finds Matt. Matt is like outside talking to production. And it was funny because it was like a whole group of people, and there's like a boom mic and a cameraman. He's out there talking to them, and she comes up, and as she's coming up, they all kind of slowly walk away. The Ozzy group slowly walk away. But anyway, she comes up to him and she's like, the girls are talking a lot of shit about other women in the house, and it could potentially ruin their life. Like, you need to know they're saying things about other girls that could potentially ruin their life. And he's like, what? That's crazy. Thank you for bringing that to me. And I'm definitely going to talk to the girls about that. So I guess Katie is like the group leader or something. I'm not sure what that is, but so that's that. Oh my God. Oh my goodness. So the episode ends, but before it ends, we get this clip of Maggie sitting down with Matt on their one-on-one. And I'm like, finally, we get to see them sitting down together and talking, because I'm like, I don't think Maggie's gonna make it. But anyway, Maggie and Matt are talking, and she's like, I want you to dance for me. They have a cute little vibe going on that I wish that we could see more of. But she's like, dance for, like, Maggie's like, dance. And he's like, are you gonna dance with me? She's like, no. I just wanna see what you're gonna do. I just wanna see you dance. So he goes, okay, I'm gonna dance. And he gets up all confident. And this dude proceeds to do like some sort of TikTok dance or whatever he's doing. And it's super, at first I didn't know what the hell he was doing. I was like, what the heck? I was like, oh my God. Because he was just moving his body in a bunch of different ways. What was he doing? He was doing all of this. I don't know what I don't know what all of this is, but he was doing a bunch of stuff. And then I was like, oh, he's doing a TikTok dance. Oh, that's what he's doing. Oh my, it looked so awkward and so cringy. And he looked like a little kid afterward. He was like such a proud little kid that he like memorized this TikTok dance. And so he's just moving around doing this little thing. And afterward, Maggie's like, oh wow. She's like, oh wow, I don't know what to say. It's hilarious. It's hilarious. That's the end of the episode. Yeah, anyway, that's it. Let me know, what did you guys think of this episode? What did you think of Matt's dancing? And is it just me, or is Matt avoiding certain conversations about race? I just don't understand. Why take the lead of this show if you're not going to be able to confidently talk about how all of these things have affected you as a Black man? You don't want to talk about it? You don't... We'll see. We'll wait. But anyway, let me know what you guys think. Join me for the next episode.